Okay, I just finished the episode with Frank and Matt, and oh my gosh, I had chills. I was in tears. I felt for them. I had to make sure that I was jotting down notes that were more focused on Chief Household Officer and decluttering because as a couples therapist, we could have a whole nother video. But I love the two of them and I love the progress they made. So let's get into the review of the episode. Another one you have to, out of all the ones I've watched, this is number one. You have to watch this. Largely because of the challenges they face in decluttering, and you see the process between the two of them flip, like it's hard for one and then it becomes hard for the other. And I think that happens a lot when we declutter with family members. So, holy cow. Let's start. Okay, so they described their house as, it looks like college students live here. And that it was a representation still of sort of the college days. They held on to a lot of things. They actually had a lot of items from past roommates. So when they open up their cabinets and you see all the plates and bowls and cups and things like that, you just see a lot of different colors and things that don't match. I remember that. I completely remember when I had my first job out of grad school, and that is exactly how everything looked. Hey, Amy. And it was just complete, like, we were all hodgepodge of things. And then when I moved from that apartment to another apartment, I brought some of those items they didn't want, and it was just hodgepodge. And yeah, and you kind of keep those things, don't you, until you buy new things. But then you have to really decide, do I really want to buy new things? So the feeling of a college student lives here, like I remember that completely. It said we never make the bed. And then, powerful moment, again, I'll be careful how much of a couples therapist I become in this, said, our home is a representation of our relationship. And in particular, Frank's parents were coming to visit for the very first time in their home. And he said, if they take our home seriously, then they're going to take our relationship seriously. And I just felt this like pressure for them. I felt this pressure of that Frank in particular, hey Darby, Frank in particular wanted his parents to love his home because he wants them to love his partner Matt and accept Frank, even though I already do, and he says that, they accept me as being a gay man, but to really accept all of him. And we'll get into some of the things he does to sort of hide who he truly is, but I thought that's so powerful. How often do we feel like if people see our home, they're seeing us. And so we want it to look good and we want to be proud of it. And Marie says, I'm really happy to help them transition into adulthood. This reminded me of that video I made for you guys about when did you become a chief household officer? Like when was your click and transition period? And it's the same here. When was your transition into adulthood? Clearly not when you started paying the bills because like, yes, that's one piece of it, but there's something about creating your space to being what you want yourself to look like in the future, to being an adult, whatever an adult means to you. So I love that she said I'm going to help them in their transition into adulthood. Okay, so as I shared, they had accumulated lots of things over the years from old roommates and kept things from college. And in particular, Matt said he was the baby of the family and he kind of got what he wanted, and he never had to really learn good habits of taking care of things. Clearly, the house was first Frank's, and he even says that he lived there longer. Frank takes way more ownership of wanting it to change than Matt does, but then you see that switch. That's normal when someone in the couple moves into the other person's original space, that it takes a while before it becomes an us environment. And often we then struggle with creating change and making changes if it's not our original environment until we really get that permission from the other person to just let it go and it's okay, it's our space now. Okay, so Frank admits that growing up, he used to just store paper in his desk and like hide things and say, oh, Mom, it's clean. Like that's how he cleaned up. He just hid things in drawers and cabinets. And how often, ladies, do we do this? Many of us, I've shown you guys the room. It's starting to clutter again. So, Nimra, I love that you said that my living room, my kitchen looks so nice. That's because the house cleaner came yesterday, so all the things went into that room. So that is my homework today, is to fix that room. And after this episode, I'm doing it. It's time to no more putting stuff away and hiding it, and we'll get to that as well in a second. So Frank mentioned I give it all at work. I give it all my energy, everything, and then I come home and I don't want to put work into it. I understand. And so many of us feel the same way. We're so exhausted by the day, whether we stay at home, whether we work, whether we do both, that we just don't want to put the work into our home, but we want our home to change. So what has to change? We got to put the work into it. But it's about how you plan it and how you break it up. So this is really good about the KonMari method, is she gives you sort of a framework of how to break things up, and that helps a lot. Okay, so I was thinking about the idea of when we make our home look good on the outside to people, like a picture that you guys saw and say, oh wow, look at all that. You guys aren't seeing the other rooms. You're not seeing the other things. Like I said, my office guest room that's now becoming cluttered again. Not to the level it was for sure, but it's happening. You're not seeing my closet. You're not seeing our bathroom. You're not seeing all the things. And when we have guests over, we so often make sure that those areas look presentable, the areas that people see, just like we make sure we look presentable, but inside there's a lot going on. If we feel disorganized inside, then very likely you open our drawers and our cabinets in our home, or those doors we have shut when you arrive, and you're going to see the truth of what's going on. So our home is a representation of what is going on for us. You might go, okay, well, how do I start to work on that? It's largely about you working on you and your home at the same time, which is the whole purpose of that breaking free from the cluttered life, because I don't think you can do just one and not look at the other. So very often we hide that clutter. I will take pictures of the room for you, Nimra, so you know it's not just it's real. So Frank wants pride in his home. He wants to be proud when his parents come over. And it's largely a reflection of what he wants his parents to feel about himself and how he wants to feel about himself. Ladies, so often it's about how we think it's like, well, I want people to see me this way. We want to see ourselves that way. We want to feel that pride and that acceptance of ourselves. And that goes into how we take care of the things around us too, and how we take care of ourselves. So they start decluttering clothes first. As always, we start with clothing. And Matt, again, he is the partner who came into the home, started living there after it was Frank's first. And he admits he is many times emotionally unavailable. He blocks people out, blocks things out that are new, uncomfortable. He's just emotionally unavailable. How many of us struggle with that? Being emotionally unavailable. And he points out it's very hard then when you do the KonMari method to spark joy, and you also know you're having to let go of things. You shut off, you shut down, and you don't necessarily feel the joy. So he struggles. He sits there and looks and he goes, I have a whole pile of I'm not sure, so I'm just going to keep them. And his partner Frank goes, no, if it's a not sure, that doesn't spark joy. You don't keep it. So they were really good partners in challenging each other. But if you have items in your home you're not sure about, that doesn't mean keep them. Give them to a home where they're going to be used and that someone is going to go, this does spark joy. We forget that by letting go of things and only keeping the things that matter to us, the things we let go of get to go to another home, especially if we're very purposeful in where we donate those things. Next, they went into books and papers, and I was so glad they did this because the past episodes had not really talked about papers. They've done a little bit of books. So this is for many of you because you've shared with me your readers. You keep all the books. Don't make me get rid of my books. However, Marie said it an amazing way. what is going to be beneficial to your life going forward. Your values and thoughts about life may have changed, and your books are a representation of that. When I go to your bookshelf and I look at what you have, it's going to tell me a little bit about what you're interested in, what you like to read about, what you believe in, what you think about life. And so you have to look at your books and say, okay, what does this say about me? And are these still things that I think about? Are these still things that interest me? And if not, go give them to a home where somebody will be interested in them. And she says, have your values and your thoughts changed? More than likely, yes. So for Matt, books are his identity, like many of you in this group. And he really, really struggles. So she says, what is the one book you know for sure you're not going to get rid of? And he picks up To Kill a Mockingbird, which from the U.S. you probably had to read this in school or high school, university, wherever. I remember me reading it in school, and I remember having to read it twice because we moved schools, military brat, so we moved often. I had to read it one year and then read it the next year. So I know this book well, and I understand what he was saying, that he has such, it changed his life, it changed his view on things, he identified with the characters. So that was the book he held on to. He goes, this one. And she goes, okay, now you really know. Do you feel that? And he said, yeah. And then all of a sudden you saw the block come down, and he starts getting rid of books. And he's like, nope, thank you. He thanks all the books he's getting rid of, and he knows what pile he wants to keep. Here's the thing. What happens? Frank, the partner, pulls out all paperwork, all the papers, everything, and he struggles to get rid of stuff. This is where his mental block is. This is where he sees himself. And if you've been following my different cluttering styles, it's the mirror clutter. They see a part of themselves in that clutter. So then why would you throw out a part of yourself? It's hard to let go of that. So Frank shares that he hides papers in different areas so he doesn't see the magnitude of all of it. Yeah, I get that too. Do you know why I get that? Because I spent 2 weeks cleaning out my mom's home, and that's what she did. She spread things out in cabinets and drawers. We found things from years hidden away because she didn't want to face it. And I've been pretty honest with you guys. My mom was wonderful at keeping the house looking a certain way, but cluttered, so cluttered. And I share those tendencies. So in me, I go, okay, I don't want to continue this on for my girls and my husband. I want us all to be able to let go of clutter, not hold on. Darby, you said you had to read The Kill a Mockingbird 3 times. I'm telling you. Oh, I'm glad you did. Germany exchange year in English class. Oh, good. So yeah, so it's not just in the States. Good morning, Stephanie. So Frank has this attachment to these papers because they were memories of when he was coming to terms with his identity as being a gay man. He would write songs in English. He's also a writer, so he has all his first books he wrote or drawings he made and plot lines and things, and he doesn't want to let go of those because those are a part of him, right? That's a part of his identity of becoming a writer. And his partner goes, you've already become a writer now. You can let those things go. But Frank's like, no, but it's a part of me. I don't want to let it go. So when we don't feel progress in decluttering, or let's just look at life, in something in life that we're trying to achieve, we get discouraged, we get blocked, we stop. We don't want to do it anymore. And it gets to the point where then you put off and you procrastinate and you point the finger and blame something else because you're really upset inside. And it becomes emotional clutter, right? We get so bah, and it becomes overwhelming. So Frank gets stuck, and here's Matt finally I've got it figured out. I know what sparks joy. And he's running basically at this point. He's got it. And Frank is just, you see him kind of mopey and just I don't know, and I'm struggling. So they actually move on to doing kitchen items. And Frank turns into what I like to call the dreamer clutterer. Well, I can think of a million reasons why we're going to need all of these things. And Matt goes, no person, it's 2 of us. We don't need this many coffee mugs. We barely use small plates. Why are we having 15 of them? We need to only have a small amount. And Frank's so fighting it, no, we might need these. No, we don't. And all of a sudden, something happens, and you see Frank start to go, okay, I can let go of these. Yeah, I don't like these. Why did we keep these? I don't know. And he says a lot of the things I've been keeping are from childhood. And I realize I want to get into adulthood, so I've got to let those things go. That's powerful. I have gone through I have a childhood chest. I've gone through that chest probably 5 or 6 times, and each time I get rid of more and more because I'm in acceptance that it's okay to, I've grown up and I don't have to keep all those things, especially if I don't see a purpose or value in it for my girls, that they don't really need to see those things. So I take a picture of it usually, store it on my phone, and then I let it go. And I think that's so, so important that we realize when you let go of an emotion, it doesn't, or an item, it doesn't lose the emotion. You can take a picture of it. So Darby, I'm catching on to how Spark's joy needs to be about now, not a feeling of nostalgia. Yeah, yes. So joy in the moment is that feeling of, when you hang out with a friend, or a family member or you get to talk to them on the phone and you're like, yes. And then you start talking to them more again and you feel that it's because of the spark joy. It's the same with an item. If I hold on to this notepad and I'm like, this has been, to be honest, it's been hidden away for a while. I had to search for a notepad that wasn't written all over. And now I'm like, I want this. I'm going to leave it out so I use it more often, so it's more present. So it's about the now, not the past, not the future. So bringing up the things from our past, we might say, hey, I actually want this front and center. I want to see it more often. And then you start to use it. Now, the just in case for the future, well, then you're going to be holding on to, this is funny. Okay. You're going to be holding on to things for a long time. Frank and Matt live in California. Matt says, we're not prepared for an earthquake, which is realistic to happen in California, but we're prepared for everything else. You have to say, are your just in case things truly, are they holding you back? Are they in preparation for something that really could happen? Or is it something that you are preparing for because of fear of not having enough? And what does that say about ourselves? Our fear that we're not enough. So, okay, I don't want to realize I could talk forever about these things. When you watch the episode, you'll notice Matt starts to share his opinion of the home more and take more responsibility and identity in it. It's no longer just Frank's place. Now the two of them have made it their place, and he's very proud. Then when they go take the donations, I love they say this, we're going to make some people very happy now. Your items can go to a place in a home where it's going to make people happy. They don't have to stay with you. You don't have to keep all of those things. I have a family member in my life who does not let go of things because she doesn't know who they're going to go to next and how they're going to take care of them. And she's got closets, multiple, of items. And I've said to her, this is now your clutter. You can't wear any of these things. These are things from 20 years ago. Let them go. But she can't. She holds, I don't know what's going to happen to them next. We just have to let them go and believe they're going to go to homes that are going to be loving on them and taking care of them and whatever it might be, and just let them go. So it opens up room for new things to come into our life. So I noted that Frank is very proud of his home and his parents come. And we all need that transition into being proud of what we present to the world. And that includes our home. We all need that transition. That is why the decluttering process is a transition. The mental decluttering process, the emotional decluttering process, the physical decluttering process, all of that is a transition into being proud of what we are, what we have. And so we want acceptance. That's the gist of it. To be honest, largely in decluttering, it's about us getting our own acceptance of ourselves and others' acceptance. So if you notice when Frank's family comes, he shows off everything. Now he does say, I want to show you what, Marie helped us do. He opens every drawer, he opens every closet, things that I wouldn't normally hey, family, come visit me. Let me show you all the things I've done. He shows them everything because he wants them to see all of him and accept it and be proud and see it's organized and in place. And as we know, emotional and mental clutter will come and that will create physical clutter. But we now have tools by watching this show, by taking courses like mine, by reading books to say, okay, but I know how to get back on track. And that's the important thing, is we're a work in progress, and it's all a part of the transition into, quote, adulthood, into feeling more accepting of ourselves and being proud of ourselves. And so we are going to have slip-ups. We're going to take steps back, but we know how to take steps forward again. And that's the key. That's the key of this. So I loved Frank and Matt. And I loved the story of breaking through being emotionally unavailable, breaking through the feeling of your identities attached to your things, breaking through but what if maybe this will happen one day, and being able to just be proud of your home in the moment right now and enjoy it, and to be proud of who you are and what's going on inside of you in the moment right now too. Okay. I want to know what you guys thought of Frank and Matt in this episode, because I was really excited by it. I'm going to be getting to the rest of the episodes in the coming days. So if there's an episode in particular that you want to give me a heads up. What do I need to watch out for? What did you like? Let me know. Post, and I'll make sure to watch out for those things. Y'all enjoy your day. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Munich. Finally, yesterday we had sun yesterday as well, and I was loving it. And I'm just trying to enjoy some calm moments. I hope you are too.